What are some of the most dangerous treats I can give my pet? Well, today we're going to break it down for you. You all have asked me a lot of questions about dangerous treats, so here you go. Number one, know the treat. This just involves getting to know how the treat is broken down and how it's ultimately consumed by your pet. Some treats crumble and other treats stay whole. Some treats are great for large dogs, but they would be a complete nightmare for a small dog or even a cat. So it's important to monitor your pet anytime you give them a treat. Second really important point, know the risks. Throughout the years of practice and doing lots of surgery, I've seen lots of injuries related to dangerous treats. I've seen tooth fractures, really bad cuts in the mouth or lacerations. I've seen some treats get lodged in the trachea or even the esophagus. Some treats end up lodged in the intestine, and I've even seen cases of colonic impaction. So it's important to know all the various risks that treats impose before giving them to your pet. I've certainly seen a lot of injuries related to nylon bones or regular bones. Here's an example of a regular bone. As you can see, it shatters sometimes, and this can end up in your dog's intestine. This will end up in a perforation or even a hole, and you don't want that. Pig ears or cow hooves sometimes can lacerate or cut the esophagus or windpipe. These obviously pose a certain risk. Large rawhides, this is not a large rawhide, but it certainly can cause cuts in the mouth and even fractures of the tooth. So really hard toys or large rawhides certainly have inherent risks associated with them in the mouth. Now that I'm done scaring you on what are some of the most dangerous treats you can give your pets, let's talk about some treats that are okay or pose minimal risk. I go by the hammer rule. If you can hammer a nail in with the treat, I probably wouldn't give it to my pet. Here are some things that bend. Anything that bends is probably going to be okay. Here's a classic example of a dental treat that typically you can give that will help remove tartar and plaque, but it's still really tasty. Milk bones are similar. They can remove tartar, plaque, and are good for overall oral health, but again, they crumble, they're tasty, they dissolve, they're pretty safe. Second, compressed rawhide. Certain types of treats that are compressed rawhide make them less likely to break off in big chunks. This again, good for overall oral health. So check with your veterinarian before giving a compressed rawhide, but in general, this class of treat can pose lower risk. Jerky. Who doesn't love beef jerky? This is a nice jerky treat. This tends to dissolve. This is certainly less abrasive and poses a very minimal risk of cutting the mouth or causing a tooth fracture, something like that. But again, you gotta monitor this because if your dog likes to break off big chunks, yes, it can go down the esophagus and cause little cuts. Let's talk about some home solutions to giving your pet a treat. My dog absolutely loved cauliflower. Maybe it was the crunch, maybe it was the taste. Who cares? It's nutritious and he loved it. We've got broccoli here too. That's a great treat. And carrots, raw carrots are great solutions too. I always loved either raw, cooked, or dehydrated sweet potatoes. Give your dog a little treat of sweet potatoes and you know it's gonna be good. One important point about homemade treats is you gotta consider it part of their daily caloric intake, right? So if you're giving your dog food and part of that food is treats, a lot of dogs can gain weight. So if we're gonna give treats at home, let's make sure we cut back on the food. For instance, lean cuts of chicken, lean cuts of beef, lean cuts of pork sometimes can be okay for your pet. Keep in mind the size of your pet and how much you're giving them, and make sure that if you're gonna give a lot of treats, you cut back on the food, and vice versa. Do you have a medical question you'd like me to answer? Just submit it in the comment section below, and we'll answer it next episode. Remember, there's nothing stronger than the human-animal bond. You're watching The Pet Collective Cares. Want to see more of Ask a Vet? Then don't forget to subscribe.